First installment of the 10-minute episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday exclusively on the Everything Sports with Aman and Evan YouTube channel. We'll still have weekly episodes for you guys, the 30 to 40-minute ones over on Apple and Spotify exclusively, and then the shorts on TikTok and YouTube continuing like normal. Daily, today's topic, mostly the Baltimore Ravens, because they were favorites in the AFC before the season, or at least some people's favorites, as long as they stay healthy. But I feel like they should be definitely the team to beat in the AFC between them, the Chiefs. I mean, that whole Bengals division is crazy. That Ravens division, like the Steelers are sort of the opposite of the Ravens because you got the Ravens that they're outscoring teams by like 115 total. That's their point differential, I think, something like that. The next best team is plus 80. That's a whole five touchdown difference between the Ravens and the next best team. The Ravens always have known for their defensive prowess in their Super Bowl run with Ray Lewis, even years ago when they had Ed Reed. And they've been known for their defense, and that's why they're winning games. With their defense, combined with their offense, of course, their offense is averaging absurd numbers, but it's not like they're exploding or exploding random teams. The Seahawks, they're a sleeper to go to the Super Bowl because it depends on the Seahawks team we're getting. The Lions, a lot of people are actually rating them highly because obviously they're now a playoff team. They're not the same old Lions that we thought. But AFC North, let's see, I have it pulled up. The Ravens, of course, 7-2. The Steelers, 5-3. Browns, 5-3. Bengals, 5-3. Of course, the Bengals are, I believe, on a 5-game winning streak. And it's just crazy to think about because the Steelers are another team rely heavily on their defense. The Ravens, mixture of both. They rush for 298 yards against a Seahawks defense. The Seahawks defense is amazing, in my opinion. And the Seahawks beat another team the Ravens blew out in the Lions. And so that's when the Seahawks became contenders. And now they were all of a sudden leading the NFC West because of the recent San Francisco 49ers struggles. And so now we'll see how that ends. The Niners did trade for Chase Young. There's no excuse for that defense not to do well because when you have Chase Young on the left and you have Javon Hargrave, uh, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, like so many skill players on the defense combined with the offense. I feel like Niners might not be the one seed, might go to the Eagles. They might be a 2 or 3 seed if they win out. And I believe they have the potential to. Because when McCaffrey played after whatever that Chiefs game that he was in last season for like a couple quarters, after that, they won out. And so I feel like the Niners, they have the potential to do well and win out the rest of the season because that's what their potential is. When you look at the weapons, McCaffrey at running back, Devo, Ayuk, George Kittle, and then Trent Williams on the O line, they've been banged up. And like in sports, when you have teams that are this stacked, health is the only thing that's stopping them. And Brock Purdy was viewed as an MVP candidate the first 5 weeks. And now conversations are like, is he a system quarterback? I do not believe he's a system quarterback. I feel like when given the opportunity on any team, he's still going to perform. And I mean, teams go through rough patches. It's fine. It happens for the better, to be honest. And now the Niners can regroup. And with the defense, you got to go back when Robert Saleh was there, best defense in the league. D'Amico Ryans took over, best defense in the league. And now Steve Wilks joined San Francisco as a defensive coordinator, very much a defensive-minded coach. That's why he led Carolina to an almost playoff spot after the firing of Matt Rule. Panthers players wanted him back. They didn't choose to bring him back. So he became the defensive coordinator of the Niners, and the Niners are so many defensive errors. You can blame Brock Purdy all you want, but then the defense, it's just a combine of everything, really. And so with Chase Young, if the Niners defense don't go back to what the Niners defense used to be, the finger's going to be pointed at Steve Wilks. And so now NFC, I feel like right now you would have to give the edge to the Eagles, definitely. And it's probably going to be another Eagles Niners NFC championship because I feel like we all know that the Niners aren't going to struggle like they have been the past 3 weeks. They lost the Browns against the Browns because of the missed field goal, which would have won the game. Lost to the Vikings and struggled heavily at home against the Bengals. And so, Eagles, I feel like the Eagles are clearly at the top of the NFC and then just go down and then not like a huge gap, a decent gap, in my opinion. Then you got the Niners, but I feel like the Bills struggled. The Bengals are on fire. I think Bengals, they definitely will be second in the division. I don't know if the Steelers can keep up this long. TJ Watt's my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, but he gets overlooked so many years for some reason. And so I think the Ravens just simply beat the Chiefs because we saw against the Miami Dolphins, who, by the way, they are 6-0 against teams with losing records and 0-3 against teams with winning records. So they're definitely a contender, but they have to figure that stuff out because the moment they go against good teams, it doesn't pan out well. And that's definitely a problem that Mike McDaniel and that offense, that defense has to figure out because the Chiefs, they're up 21-0 at halftime, and Miami had numerous opportunities to go down the field and score to tie up the game, potentially win it in overtime in Germany. But with that said, the Chiefs cannot play cannot play well for a half and then struggle and expect to win a game against the Baltimore Ravens team, amazing defense, and a lights out offense. Zay Flowers was the perfect draft pick for that team. You got Odell Beckham Jr., who scored his first touchdown on his birthday. And then, of course, you got Lamar Jackson at QB, proving he's worth every penny of that contract. And the Ravens have to be thanking Lamar for staying with the team because people forget he requested a trade before the season started for contract issues. They finally paid him. And I mean, it's doing wonders for the Ravens team. And I feel like the Ravens, their schedule hasn't been the easiest. And coincidentally enough, they lost to a team whose defense is amazing in the Steelers. And so you got the Steelers, Browns, Bengals, and Ravens all in the division. So now let's go team by team in that division. Ravens are clearly first. And then you got the Cincinnati Bengals, I feel like are going to be second, and then the Browns, and then the Steelers. Right now, that's what I think is going to happen because the Browns, in Clayton Tune's first start, even though it's the Cardinals, their offense isn't thought of as highly in the league. 58 yards against any team for an entirety of a game is just absurd. And they shut out the Cardinals. It was a defensive masterclass by the Cleveland Browns. And so when the Ravens go up against great defenses, sometimes they tend to struggle. But now this year, their defense is finally where we normally think of the Ravens as because last year, of course, they lost a 21-point lead earlier in the season and their defense was never where it should have been. I feel like we all know that by now. But the Ravens now, with all those problems sorted, they're looking like the best team in the AFC. I feel like they edge the Chiefs, and if we compare them to the Eagles, that's going to be a battle for sure. And I feel like with how the Ravens are doing right now, there's no reason why to say that they're not Super Bowl favorites, and there's no reason to say why they're not the best team in the NFL. But that's my take on the whole Ravens situation and how it's playing out and how they've become the best team in the NFL. But with that, tune in tomorrow for another episode here on YouTube or the Shorts Daily, or if you're a fan of the normal podcast structure, because we're trying out something new on this channel, head over to Apple and Spotify every Saturday. Thanks for watching.